Hi, I'm Scott Rada. I'm going to walk through quickly how I came up with the salary for Tom Brady for the current year and next year. So my two sources I used were this first one, OTC, over the cap. You can see each quarterback here, what their contract was for, but what I'm actually using this is average per year value here. So you can see you've got Tom Brady, 25 million, and it's for 2 years. All right, so the expectation is that these salaries are based on historic data. So for what I am using, I took last year's values for quarterbacks. So I went to 2019, regular season, the whole season, quarterbacks, and took it from here. And this is a fantasydata.com. I put this into kind of an ugly file. So I've got my two sources of data here for the salaries and here for the historic data, and just did a simple VLOOKUP over here to map the salary to the data for performance. I also took in 2020 values, and I'll show you why I did that in a few minutes. Took this into R and basically just wanted to get a model to show which of those factors, receiving or passing yards, maybe receiving yards, touchdowns, quarterback passer rating, etc., which ones will play most into the salary. So I ended up with just 3 of them that you see here. Now, I did start with a few more, but kind of took some out as I wanted to get the p-value with each individual factor as low as possible. So ended up with just 3. Interestingly enough, I left in the intercept, so you actually start with a negative value, and this value is for salary. So theoretically, you would have to pay to be the quarterback before you actually start playing and getting stats. So with that in mind, I thought it would be fun to reference Warren Beatty in Heaven Can Wait. He essentially bought the team, so he kind of actually paid to play. So we all start off as Warren Beatty or Leo Farnsworth if you want to be a quarterback. All right, so these are the coefficients for each of these. So essentially it's the pay you would get is negative 48 million something dollars, plus this times the variable pass yards, minus this value times pass interceptions, and plus this value times passer rating. And as you would imagine, getting interceptions will cost you salary. And as you can see, it's almost $1 million for each interception. So it's pretty expensive. The model is actually fairly accurate. It's about a 0.7 R squared, whether it's adjusted or not. And the reason they're so close is we really don't have that many variables. So the adjusted isn't going to be much different. All right, so I took this back into Excel, and essentially I have the actual salary, and I put the model salary in here to see what would the salary would have been if they went by the model. And as you can see, you've got Tom Brady right here. He is paid 25 million, but using the model, he probably should have been paid 26.3 million, which means he was shorted about $1.3 million for the current year. So I mentioned there's going to be something about the current year's value. So I just want to see if you use this year's stats to see what they should be paid next year, what would the pay be? So here's 2020 stats, and you can see that using the model from R, he should be paid about $35 million next year. So he's essentially going to be shorted about $10.1 million next year. So if you actually want to see what he really should be paid next year, you also want to see, is there any kind of inflation from one year to the next in salary? So I went back to the website and grabbed salaries for 2019 and 2020 and took the average of the top 15. And let me just hop over to where I did that. So that is right here. So I just took the top 15 average for each year, 2019, 2020, and found that the increase is about 1.45% on the average from one year to the next. So that's what I used for inflation or cost of living increase. So instead of 35.1 million, he actually should be paid 35.6 million next year. And of course, the back pay. So he was short of 1.3 million this current year. So if you add a net interest, it's just a little bit more than that. So you got 1,353,000 or so of back pay he should get, which comes to a total of 35 plus this value of back pay, 36.995 million for next year is what he should be getting paid. He's actually going to get paid 25 million. So he's roughly $12 million of being nice to the city of Tampa Bay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this up. Thank you.